Starting today, we will broadcast American news on KUMC television once a week. Please let your children who don't know Korean know the news. South Korean President Moon Jae-in wrapped up a 5-day visit to the United States by taking part in a repatriation ceremony in Honolulu for the remains of soldiers killed in the Korean War, where he repeated his call for an end-of-war declaration on the Korean Peninsula. Moon received the remains of 68 Korean soldiers during the handover ceremony at Hickam Air Force Base on Wednesday, while South Korea transferred the remains of 5 American soldiers. He was the first South Korean president to attend such an event, which was co-hosted by the Hawaii-based Defense POWMI accounting agency. The South Korean president made the stopover on his way back to Seoul after attending the UN General Assembly in New York. During his keynote address at the United Nations on Tuesday, Moon said that a declaration to officially end the Korean War would bring irreversible progress in denuclearization and usher in an era of complete peace. North Korea says nuclear sub-deal could lead to arms race. The two Koreas remain technically at war, as the 1950-53 conflict ended with an armistice and not a peace treaty. In Hawaii, Moon said that a conclusive end to the war would resonate around the globe. What our heroes wanted to see on the Korean Peninsula was a complete peace, he said. An end-of-war declaration will give new hope and courage to everyone round the world aspiring for peace beyond the Korean Peninsula. North and South Korea unveil new missile systems. Moon's calls for reconciliation come after a recent flurry of weapons tests on the peninsula. North Korea unveiled new long-range cruise missiles and train-launched ballistic missiles last week, while South Korea showed off new military hardware of its own, including a submarine-launched ballistic missile and a supersonic cruise missile. North Korea has also restarted operations of its Yongbyon nuclear reactor, according to the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency, a development which IEA Chief Rafael Grossi last week called deeply troubling. Diplomatic negotiations with Pyongyang have been at a standstill since a February 2019 summit between then U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ended without an agreement. North Korea test fires 2 ballistic missiles, draws concern from Asia leaders. Both Washington and Seoul have made public overtures to bring Pyongyang back to the negotiating table, with U.S. Special Envoy to North Korea Sung Kim repeating last week that he was ready to meet with his counterparts anywhere, at any time. Moon on Wednesday said that working together to recover war remains offered an opportunity to restart engagement with North Korea. I believe humanitarian cooperation among the two Koreas and the U.S. to exhume war remains will help heal the wounds of the war and build a strong foundation for empathy and understanding, he said. Also on Wednesday, the top diplomats from the United States, South Korea, and Japan met to discuss North Korea on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaffirmed the United States' commitment to continued consultation and cooperation with South Korea and Japan in working toward the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, State Department spokesman Ned Price said in a statement. Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi said trilateral cooperation is vital for regional stability and cautioned that North Korea's recent nuclear and missile activities threaten the peace and security of Japan, the region, and the international community.
Next news. Netflix's Korean original series, Squid Game, was second on Netflix's global top 10 charts Tuesday, a record for a Korean drama. According to streaming analytics platform Flixpadrel, the thriller series took the spot on the daily top 10 list, which accumulates the overall streaming performance of shows on Netflix worldwide. The British teen comedy series Sex Education took first place. Squid Game, which began streaming September 17th, also became the first Korean drama in the US's daily top 10 list. The previous record on the global chart and the US chart was the apocalyptic action series Sweet Home, which took third spot on both charts late last year. Created and directed by Wang Dong-hyuk, whose previous work includes the period drama film The Fortress and the comedy Miss Granny, the series revolves around high-stakes rounds in deadly versions of children's games. Broke and gambling addicted, Ji-hun, actor namely Young-jae, gets invited to play the games along with 455 other cash-strapped people for a tempting prize of $39.4 million. For each round of a different children's game, the participants fight to the death to make it to the next round. And the eventual winner? Netflix's Korean original series Squid Game ranked second of the streaming site's worldwide top 10 lists Tuesday, according to Flixpadrol, courtesy of Netflix. The director revealed that he had the script for more than 10 years before getting the green light to make it into a series. I've always liked to go to comic book stores, and after reading tons of survival genre comics, I came up with the idea to make such genre in Korean style. So I finished the script in 2009, but at the time, people found to be peculiar and violent. It was hard to get an investor or cast actors for it. So I put it away in a drawer after trying for about a year. Wang said during an online press conference for the series last week. But when I took it out after about a decade, I realized that we are living in a time where those games are actually happening around us and have become relevant to our world. So when I showed the piece around, people told me that it was very interesting and realistic, which made me think now was the perfect time for this series. The title Squid Game is that of a sometimes aggressive winner-takes-all Korean children's game, which involves a field with geometric shapes on the ground that resemble a squid. The director noted that he chose the game as the series title because it speaks for the current times. The game was the most physical and intense game I played as a child, and I thought it metaphorically symbolizes the modern society that we live in, he said, adding that people nowadays live in a highly competitive world. As the players in the series, the director expressed that he hopes it would lead viewers to ask questions about current society. I hope this piece helped viewers to ask themselves questions, like what were the characters competing for? Why are we fighting through and living our lives in such a fierce, intense way? And where did it all start? Wang said.
Thanks for watching. See you again next week.